Hi, Charlotte. It's Danielle. I first of all wanted to tell you that I appreciated your sharing of your thoughts. This was also my initial introduction to what group therapy and group counseling could look like. And we had some thoughts and some concerns that were very similar. Um, I really agreed with your take on the conflict session. I think it was the fifth group session, where the clients had conflicting thoughts and feelings and didn't feel like their needs were getting met, and just didn't feel like the counselor was hearing them. And I got uncomfortable just watching it. But I agree with you. I thought the counselor did a great job of staying neutral and really practicing those listening skills that you will need as a counselor, and his ability to not take anything personally. He used it as an opportunity for growth. And then, like you stated, later on, you come to kind of see that without the conflict, there isn't conflict resolution, and the group doesn't really grow. Um, Another thing that I also found interesting and very insightful was when, after each session, the counselor would get on and he would have like a teaching moment, and he would explain more in depth why he responded the way he did, or what his thoughts were about the clients and their responses. So I thought that was very helpful. Because you kind of get your own assumptions just watching it, but then hearing him explain why he does what he does, excuse me, really helped me to understand, okay, this is why he acted this way or said this. Um, the other thing that I found that was extremely interesting was what you said about, I think it was Greg, the client that was having trouble, just with feeling left out and being the black man and kind of a white society. Um, I also, when I was watching it initially, thought that he had skipped Greg, that he had, or that I had missed his questions with Greg because of the client before him having such an in depth conversation with the counselor. I actually was kind of surprised when he turned to Greg and said, "Okay, now it's your turn. Tell us about you," because I assumed that I had either A, missed it, or B, he just skipped him. So that also kind of struck me as a concern, because Greg already feels like he's dealing with being left out. So I don't feel like that was maybe helpful. But then I also agree with you that maybe he was trying to give him some time to process. Um, Maybe he found that what the client before him was discussing was really kind of eye opening to Greg. And so he wanted to ensure that she got that out so that he would grasp what she was saying. Um, Either way, I found the videos very interesting, and I found that each session was very interesting in itself because they were all different. While each session I felt like was very interesting and different on its own, I was also wondering what your thoughts were on open versus closed groups. In the podcast that Dr. Forth made for us, she described the different types of groups and how they were formed, and the coming and the going of just the clients in the group. And so, obviously, with our video being a closed group where they, went to counseling as a group for a specific allotted amount of time, I wondered what your thoughts were about how all of the clients were grouped together. If you thought maybe their groups were, or their problems and issues were too broad, or if you thought they were similar enough that the counselor was able to address them all. And my other question was, do you think that open groups would be more beneficial to clients as opposed to closed groups? I know that's kind of hard with this being our observation of group counseling. I myself would really like to see what an open group counseling session really looked like, because after listening to the podcast and listening to the pros and the cons, I'm curious to see which one I feel like is more, or which one I think is more helpful. So I was just really curious as to what your take was now that you've seen a closed group and after listening to the podcast, what you were thinking as far as what type of group would be more beneficial. And if this group had been an open group, if you thought that each member of the group would have gotten their needs addressed. Because going back to Greg, I kind of feel like sometimes he took the back burner to the conversation. And so I wasn't sure if he would have felt like that if more people were coming in and out of the group, or if the group had maintained its closure like it did. So, yeah, I thought you did a great job. I really enjoyed the videos and your video. I felt like you had really great points. So I look forward to learning more about groups with you.